The following tutorial will demonstrate how students can do the card sort activity. To get started, a card sort activity is something that teaches students how to organize facts using a reading such as their book or even an article. In any card sort, we organize from general to specific in what we used to call an outline-like fashion. You can see the first slide here asks students to use some choices I will give them and organize them. Once again, it would be difficult for me to show you the article and the slide at the same time, but when students do the card sort activity, the key to organizing it is to use the flow of the article that they are reading or the portion of the textbook that they are assigned to read. That will make a little more sense when I show you the next slide. As you can see here, we have a number of choices all scrambled up. Again, students are asked to take this disorganized grouping of phrases and words and put it into some order so they understand it. Not based on a guess, but based on what they read. So for instance, if you could see the article, the first topic would be telling you that we are studying unions. So, unions is a very broad word, and that would be our title. So students would write that at the top of their paper, and then they would look for something, well, not as general as the title, but perhaps something a little more specific that all the details can fit under. Remember, we always sort from general all the way down to specific. Well, if we scan through the choices here and we compare that to the article students are reading on unions, well, they might see that there are 3, perhaps 4 more subtopics that might make sense. So let me pull those out for you. One of them would be America's opinion. Another one would be CBA's method or methods. As we look on a little further, we could see something called the National Labor Movement. And then, of course, the last thing I think we could peruse for would be unfortunate incidents. That would be our 4th subtitle. I'll space these out a little bit better, and then we will start to put the details underneath each of the subtitles. Bear with me here on some of the finer adjustments. Pretty good. So we now have our title, unions, and 4 subtitles. National Labor Movement, Americans' opinion, CBA's method, unfortunate incidents. We will get rid of these momentarily. And now we will continue. As we continue, now we're going to look for the details. First and foremost, under America's opinion, students will read that at some point in time in our history, that it was balanced. Some were for them, some were against them. Also, as they read, they're going to find that our is some parts of our history that say America's opinion was pro-union. And then at other times, they will read that during our history, there have been times where the American public has been very anti-union. So those are three details that all tell us something about America's opinion about unions. Let's move on to another. CBAs, sometimes known as collective bargaining associations, well, they have methods to get what they want. Some of the methods include sick-outs. Sometimes that includes bargaining. That would include a strike. Sometimes that would include protest. Sometimes that would include the slowing of production. Now it might sound pretty slick that I can just pull these out of all the mayhem, but once again I want you to know that the article that goes along with this Cardsort goes right along, and as the students read about a sick-out, they would probably make the connection that it has something to do with the CBA's method, simply because that's what they would be reading. If we go on a little further, we can also include negotiations, and we'll leave walkouts right in there too, because that is a CBA method. They could also call in sick, and another popular method is picketing. This will start to get a little more cleaned up once we get a few more of these placed. Let's cruise on a little more. I guess I found one more. Slow down as well could be fit underneath CBA's methods. Underneath the national labor movement, we can look at one of the first as the National Labor Union. Another early union would be the International Workers of the World. We could also say that the Knights of Labor was an early union in the history of our nation's labor movement. We could also spot the International Ladies Garment Workers Union, all of which tell us about our national labor movement, which tells us something about unions. If we look to some of the unfortunate incidents, well, we know that there was a great railroad strike, and we know also that there was something known as the Haymarket Square riots. As I'm organizing, I also spotted one other early union in the national labor movement. That was the Congress of Industrial Organizations. So now we've pretty much sorted most of our options. I also spotted one more that comes underneath the national labor movement. But pretty much now we have most of our material sorted. Again, we sort from very general down to the very specific details. In the remaining choices, students would be asked to put a year or a date next to some of the events to complete this card sort. So bear with me a little bit while I clean it up And now that we have it a little more cleaned up, we can put a detail of one of these unfortunate incidents next to the proper event, either 7 dead or 26 dead in either of these events. And now that things are a little more cleaned up, well, we've just about completed the heart and soul of our card sort. We've taken something that has been disorganized and we've practiced the skill of organization to get this in order. We've used a reading, although I did not show that to you, to do that. And now the last task would to be put in some key dates that are associated with some of the details that students would have organized. Just to give you one more visual to end things here, when it's all said and done and it's written out, well, it would follow this format. And sometimes I give this format to students ahead of time, or if not, at the end when it is checked. Once again, we show you that there's unions on top and our 4 subtitles. And then underneath that you can see the appropriate details and then the year that belongs next to each of them. So with that in mind, students could put the finishing touches on, put the correct years next to the events. We could check our work, and that would end the sorting part, the organizing part of the card sort. When it's all said and done, students may take these notes and build a paragraph and record their paragraph in writing just to show the teacher, me, that they understood what they had sorted. They had learned through reading and organizing, all great life skills, and they walk away with something more than they started with, a good understanding about unions. I hope this tutorial helps, and if on your next card sort you are having some trouble, you may want to watch this tutorial once again. Goodbye.